don't agree with the rationale that we have. I do understand the logic as far as it was the tables, not that. But when we're asking for a month in advance, do you need more people? Can we advertise? Do we need that? We're good. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. And nobody told us, or nobody requested that you stand by for $25 or $100 or whatever it was, whatever the aspect was that. I didn't ask that in these questions, so I'm not gonna ask you today to provide how many people called off versus how many. I wanna stay on the aspect, but to me, I think that we have to change, you know, the mindset on what we're supposed to do. It's superior service, okay? Our residents expect superior service. People still ask if we're gonna plow the sidewalk from 1970, we don't do anymore. That's what the residents expect. So that was my concern. And when you can't measure how many people ended up not coming back because of the lines, that's a concern, right? There was lines at Woodworth, as you indicated. There was lines all over the city. It wasn't one or two places. So we're gonna have some more questions because there was also machinery issues as well. So I wanted to make sure I got that to you to understand where we're coming from. Okay, where I'm coming from myself in my capacity. Because I think our residents want to have an enjoyable experience and want to be able to come in and vote and leave.
I agree. I want them to.
So I want to make sure that I give you the opportunity to, if you had anything to finish, because I wanted to make sure I made that point. So go ahead.
I would like to say, never have you guys denied us more money for workers. That was, I can clearly say that was not a problem at all. One problem we do have, which I know that you had also asked, you guys have enough workers in council meetings. We always have a problem with staffing, and we try very hard to staff. We did give, through election commission, we did give them a little bit of a bump, which they used to raise, sorry, in the price. And we were beyond staffed, because we had reached out to other communities who were not having an election, and we got a lot of workers. We have a lot of people, I started working elections with the whole family, my grandparents, everybody did, I loved it. However, we had 2 families the day before, which I know you said you don't have to get into this, that completely called out because of a family emergency, and 15 call-offs within 12 hours prior to the election. We tried so hard to staff, it was difficult. It is not a money issue from you guys, that is not the problem. It is difficult getting staffing of 350 people. We do try very hard. And that, more than anything, was part of the reason for, hey, let's try this precinct consolidation. But I did add, like I said, the extra person. It wasn't something that I didn't take into consideration. I looked at the numbers, I looked at the statistics, I spoke with other communities to see, hey, what's the maximum number? This is not something I took on lightly. I don't want any of you guys to think this wasn't a thought out decision. I spoke to multiple communities. How many people do you think is the proper amount for a precinct to have come through where this will run okay? I took all things into consideration. I just want you guys to think. I didn't take this on lightheartedly.
This is your first time doing as election supervisor or no?
No, I did the last 2 elections. Okay. I worked in elections as a voting assistant or at the precincts, but
as a supervisor, this is correct. Your 3rd one?
Yes, yes. But I don't want you guys to think, oh, there wasn't any thought into this. There truly was. I love elections. Some of you guys know me personally. Anything that went where we think incorrectly or that there was a line, anything is taken into consideration, and 100% the rule, which again, it doesn't matter because we can't consolidate.
Right, but you also indicated, contrary to the clerk indicated, is that you always need more people. Ms. Clerk said we didn't need more people.
Well, that's what I was saying. Because we reached out to other counties, for the first time ever, we were like very well staffed. We had an enormous amount of call-offs within 12 hours prior to the election. Election morning alone, within the emails and phone calls just that I took was 6, and I know other people have taken more calls. And some of those just, I don't know if anyone's aware, there's a chairperson and a co-chair of the precinct, which they hold the power of the knowledge there. We had multiple chair people also call off, which hurts our precincts a lot. And we did try and get more chair quality people into those positions immediately, and we did send out our clerk staff. I do know now we, as you guys have stated, we have to have more staff. That's not a problem. It's not something, the only problem is getting that staff, trying to find that staff, train the track staff.
Right, but we're all in this together.
Yeah.
So we all have resources and people that we could ask. So the answer when we asked it should be that, yeah, we do need more. But let me ask you this, who's in charge of hiring these people? What was your percentage of, because I I did not have this in the question, do you know how many people called off compared percentage-wise over you had 300 election workers, 100 called off?
I don't know the percentage.
Okay, that's fine, I'm not holding you to it because I didn't ask that, but, prior. But my concern is that I look for the root cause, so you know, I don't get into minutiae, but there's obviously whoever's hiring the people, there's a concern there. You don't have that many people call off. There wasn't a tsunami or some tragic event that happened. So that means that we didn't do a good job of recruiting the proper people, in my opinion. And I will tell you that very clearly. I've hired people for years in business. You can't have that many people call off and say that it comes down to you hired the wrong people. Who's in charge of hiring them?
Jamie and I are the ones that took applications and hired. So as soon as someone sends in an application, we assign them an assignment with training required to come to. And then they work. And just so you know, there is a list, I brought a list with me, just so we can kind of vet people, make sure, because you don't really know, but for 350 people, I can't interview that many people prior to an election. So as long as they come through training, everything seems well, they fill out their paperwork, they do their assignments.
And they get paid for the training?
As long as they show up for election day. You don't get paid for training if you don't show up for your shift.
Okay, and is that your process, or is that the regular process for throughout the state?
That's our process, I'm not sure if it's the state as well, but that's our.
Since I started back in the
Okay,
day, that's what.
well, I know,
was.
but we're talking about, they come for training, which is how long before, I know we have council people have questions, and I don't wanna get too far out, but they come for training not a week before, it's much more in advance, correct? How much in advance?
No, we start about 2.5 weeks prior to the election.
Okay, so 2.5 weeks prior to the election, then they come to election day, then they get paid, right?
Correct.
Have they gotten paid yet?
Most of them got paid this Monday, some of them got paid Saturday, there was an error with payroll.
Okay.
But yeah, most of them have been paid already,
Okay.
unless they didn't turn in their paperwork.
Yeah. Councilman Avery.
So, following up on Council President's root cause comment, is there any common denominator to why so many people called off in this election compared to previous elections? Did you get a reason, or do?
2 of the families were a large part, like up to 6 members each, where they called out for a family emergency. I didn't have a husband and wife, one of them fell, broke their leg. A couple people said they were sick the morning of. I'm not sure of all the reasons. There's many people taking the calls, and we just try and immediately try and fill those positions. But like I said, a majority was the 2 families that had a family emergency, and they all, which understandable.
One more follow-up. For me, I think those people that call off should be excluded from future elections. I think we rely on them one day, November 4th, to show up. And I think if people go through the training and, there's a sense of responsibility. I mean, it's not the kind of one-day job where, I know things happen, but I think you said you had 15 people call off, you only had 10 backups. I mean, even if all 10 backups showed up, you're still 5 short. I don't know, for me personally, I would think those people should be excluded from future elections if you can't count on them. And I know some of them have extenuating circumstances, and I would ask that if they apply again, because I don't know how you can manage an election if you have people that sign up, go through training, and then either call and no show or no call, no show. And then if they're on a wait list, to me, that's even worse. To have 10 people on a wait list and you call them and they're not available, I mean, that to me is, like, that's the whole reason they're there. Like, that they only have one purpose. If I call you, show up. So to me, that's problematic, and that's, I think, something individually with those people, the clerk's office should be looking at that if you don't have reliable people applying from their history with you, I don't know that I'd give them a second or third chance.
I agree. We also asked them to hold their whole day up over $25, which is, I'm gonna say, ridiculous. I don't know anybody, let alone a teenager or no matter what age of an adult, that would stay on call for $25 a day. So I'm gonna ask, I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, because we would have known in the first hour, so.
Oh, so it was not the whole day?
It was not the whole day.
In the first hour, okay, thank you for clarifying that. So I am gonna task a question, Jackie, to be responded by anyone in your department to all council. And I'd like to know how many people, were called off, and how many total did you have signed up for the day, so we can see. And also, Bianca, if I may, I'm gonna tell you, these are things that just come with experience and age as well. Whenever you have a large amount of family members trying to do one thing together, that's always a bad thing, because of this exact situation. If you have one person that's mad and he tells all 20 of his family members on both sides not to show up, this is what happens. Now, I know that that's not the only reason this happened, but I'd like to know how many people you had signed up, and you can break it up into 350 and 10 backups, and I want to know how many of the backups declined or didn't show, and how many of the regular didn't show. And that for all council, so you can send it to all council, okay? And I think did you have a question? Councilman Eno.
Just want to know, were you out in the field all day, or were you back in town?
I would say majority of the day I was out in the field. There were times I was back here, but I was out a lot. Probably 70% of the day, I would say, until close down time.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I just have one more thing on the tabulator question, because we purchased two, and I understand that the position, the clerk's office, is that was not the bottleneck, which, like I said, indicated that I don't totally disagree with that aspect, that understanding. But consolidating down to one, is there any savings of reporting, because we didn't get the results till 4:30? Since you've been the election supervisor too, and before the clerk took over, we have never had to wait till midnight in the city of Dearborn for elections. And in the last 2 or 3, we've been waiting to midnight or longer. This time, I'm assuming the 500 ballots caused us to wait till 4:30 in the morning.
That's a big part of it.
Are you talking about the precinct breakdown or all the results? Because I do with the precincts.
We're talking about the election, we're talking about,
Yeah.
we bought these tabulators, so
Correct.
there was a reason why we bought them. We didn't just waste taxpayer dollars.
Correct.
So the question is take aside the actual bottleneck at the,
Yeah.
at the polls. Once the polls are closed, why is it taking so long to get results in the city of Dearborn? Why?
By the time the precincts are done through receiving board, which I will say, because I'm in it, I don't typically know the time. Jeremy might be able to help me a little bit, because I know he can go after. By 11 o'clock, almost all of the precincts are through, completely done. The last 2 elections, we've had people leave the memory cards at the schools, so we have to get into there. Prior to that, we would have been done by 10, which means the precinct results are in as soon as that is done. That's separate from absentee, is what we're always doing at the end of the night.
Right, but that's a choice. The clerk sent us an email. The absentee by law, you could start counting at 8 p.m. Is that correct?
We started counting the absentees days before.
You started counting them?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I thought you sent an email to all council saying that you're gonna report those last.
We report them last week. We can count them, meaning that we can put them into the tabulator, but we can't get any results out of the tabulator until everyone is counted. All 7,700 of them are
Fair.
counted.
I guess I'm just trying to say the precinct results are in as soon as we get those in receiving board, they immediately go.
I know, but you're saying that some people are coming with the results and forgetting the microchip. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, but that has been resolved by 11 o'clock. I'd say by 11.
Yeah, but why, I know, but how many times does that happen? See, there's a process and a procedure for everything, and it seems like there's not clear processes and procedures. We leave this to the chair, we leave that to that. This stuff is not, rocket science. This is not, there should be a specific list of what needs to be taken,
Correct.
and there should be some type of check.
There's,
So you're saying they just left the machine, they left the machine with the tabulator in it, the chip?
correct. So I have yet to work any elections so far. This isn't just the last 2. But that's why I took till 11 the last 2, where someone has not left that in there. I not only have 1 checklist, I have 2 checklists, and they are actually to fill out that checklist and in the poll book and bring it back. And not only do I have a checklist, I have a picture of where that's located, circled. Our best chair, who's been chair for over 20 years, he did this with his eyes closed. he forgot at this time, there are just some things that people forget, and I can't be at all 31 locations, but I
We know you
have.
can't be there, but you don't have to be there in today's technology. There's text messaging, there's cell phone calls, there's processes where you could start an hour before calling the 31 precincts, making sure there's ways, look, there's ways to make an excuse and a reason and rationale for everything. It's not acceptable to have results for 27,000 people when other municipalities are tabulating 2 million people and we can't get results till 12 o'clock and later. I just don't agree with you. I don't believe it, and I don't think that there's enough processes and checks and there's enough emphasis on making things done systematically, which we're gonna get to because there's more that this happened at.
Yeah.
There was precincts that I were at that people had to leave because, we'll get to it, power went out because, I mean, we're gonna get to that. So, look, we could sit here and say all the reasons why one-off could have happened. It's happening because there's no emphasis on making sure that they're called, that they're texted, make sure you pull that, you call me before you leave. There is a way to make this faster. I mean, you might not agree, but everywhere else it's happening. It's not acceptable. It's not, and it's becoming more and more apparent that there's more of not a process, and it's more of, you know, what do we do? They didn't show up. Well, we leave it to the chair. Well, we leave it to this one. We leave it to that. It's not acceptable. It's not. I mean, I'm just telling you. I mean, and it's becoming very apparent that there has to be much more hardline rules and more procedures followed. So I want to go to another point. We talked about extended voter times. I think we understand the rationale, so I don't need to spend any time on that. The presence of state auditors at precincts, is that something, Mr. Clerk, Bianca, you may sit down unless you, if you want her to answer this. Is that something that's standard? Because I met an auditor at Woodworth where the lines were outside. And is that something that they normally spot check, or were they called to come to Dearborn?
So how did they identify themselves? How did you know that they were a state auditor?
She indicated she did. The lady indicated to me.
Because we've had many reports from many chair people that said they had state auditors. Some people actually took pictures of their credentials. They were not state auditors. They were ADA inspectors and auditors, which were not assigned by the state of Michigan or the Secretary of State's office at all. They come to many cities and chose Dearborn to be one of the many cities that they visited that day to check on, do we have enough handicap parking? Is our voter assistant terminal working? Are there enough handicap signs indicating where the handicap doors are? Those were the auditors.
But those are standard, you're indicating.
Yeah, they've come almost every election just to make sure that we're keeping up with the latest, and then we're making sure that the people that have this difficulty seeing or hearing have the necessary equipment and what they need in order to vote. So those were at a lot of different locations, and once we pressed the chair people as to what were they looking for, what were they talking to you about, the answers were always the same. Well, they wanted to know where the handicap parking was. Well, they wanted to know if there was a handicap parking sign.
All right, that's fair. The lady I talked to didn't talk to me about anything about ADA compliance or anything. She had indicated she was a state auditor.
Yeah, and they gave that information to a lot of people as an indicator that they were working. But when you say state, I'm thinking Secretary of State's office or the elections division of the Secretary of State. I was on the phone 7 times with the Secretary of State's office, and not one time did she mention, hey, by the way, there's state auditors there, we're checking up, or whatever. So I think 7 conversations would have led to one of them saying, hey, there's a problem over here in Dearborn, and that wasn't the case.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Pierce.
Thank you, Council President. I will state too that at one period of time on election day, I was at Brady Presbyterian Church, obviously with some other campaign workers for candidates. And at one particular time, a woman came out and asked if anybody in the group of candidates or campaign workers had any vehicles that were parked in the handicap zone. And I said, I know that I'm not. And actually I asked people, does anybody know where any of these cars belong to or who has them. They didn't, but obviously they were all occupied, and it seemed to be people that maybe wanted to get into the church to vote, was one of the precincts. But I asked her, I said, I don't recognize you offhand, are you one of the poll workers for the city?
Yeah.
And she came right out and said that she works for ADA. And that's the reason why she was checking for the handicap spaces, that they were available for people that needed them, that were coming in to vote.
All right, thank you.
And she did have ID.
Councilman Enos.
Yeah, who was responsible for posting the election rules at the precincts? Because Snow School did not have it when I was there.
Yeah,
Councilman Harris was there.
so every morning we, or every election day morning, we have those signs that go to every precinct. I can't believe that there wasn't one there. I don't know if we missed the school or somebody took it, or I don't know what happened to it. But this is the first time that I learned that. Well, not the first time that I learned about it, because I learned about it, I think, from somebody else a few weeks later. But if we would have known about it, we had extras in the office. If somebody would have called us and said, hey, there's no rules, can you get some rules out here? They would have immediately been out there, but I didn't find out about it until after election day.
All right, but you had a process to put them in every school, in
Yeah.
every precinct.
Yeah,
And you did do that.
yes.
Okay. So I'd like to move forward on the same day voter. I know we had talked, me and you, regarding this, clerk. So I just want to make sure we're on the same page, because I want to find out if this is a state aspect, or is it just something that maybe you made a decision as the clerk. If someone went to a precinct, which had happened many times that I seen, and they said, well, I'm not registered, they would have to go here to the DAC, is that correct?
Correct.
And they could register same day?
They, of course.
Okay, then they have to go back to the precinct to vote?
No, they vote right then and there. We hand them an absentee ballot right there.
Okay, there's several people, and then said they could not vote here. So you're saying they were voting here?
91 did.
91, how did they vote? Absentee?
Yes, that's what we did. We registered them
That's
to
fine,
vote.
I want to make sure I understand it, because there was people that I talked to that could not vote here. They were told to go back to their precinct. So let's say they came here, and you said, no, you are registered, you went to the wrong precinct, this is your precinct. Then what would happen? Were they given an opportunity to vote here, absentee, or
They
they were
did
to go
not
back?
vote here. The only people that can vote here on election day are those that are registering to vote for the first time. Those are the only ones by law that can vote absentee here on election.
Okay, great, so that's the caveat, is that they were first-time voters.
Yes,
So other than that, they had to go back to their precinct.
correct, yes.
Okay, so that's the caveat. Okay, because that's what the concern, and 91 people voted here.
Yeah, yes, correct.
Councilman Abraham.
So, and maybe I'm not understanding, but why would a registered voter be turned away and sent to your office, and then get to your office and be told that they're registered and sent back to a poll location to vote?
Okay, I'm just speculating, but what might have happened is they were at, as Council President indicated, at the wrong precinct. And
The wrong voting location.
The wrong voting location, and maybe the questions weren't asked back and forth about, are you registered here? Are you supposed to vote at this location? We don't see you in our EP poll book. There must be something wrong. Maybe you should go back to the city to remedy that issue. And they came back here and we said, no, you are registered at Snow. You gotta go to Snow. Oh, I didn't go to Snow, I was at Ten Eyck.
So if they were at Ten Eyck, let's just say, pick on myself.
Okay.
I'm registered to vote, I think I'm a 42. But I go to Ten Eyck, and I give them my driver's license, I fill out the little certification form. They have no way of knowing that I'm a registered voter in Dearborn at Ten Eyck?
At Ten Eyck, no, they would.
At the wrong precinct.
They would be able to look them up and tell them, hey, you're at Hague. You shouldn't be at Ten Eyck, you should be at Hague.
Because the same conversations that Council President explained, I heard too, that they were told to to go to the clerk's office, drive here, only be told to go to Hague.
Yeah.
In my hypothetical example.
Yeah.
They didn't get looked up, and to me, it should be a customer service phone call that if somebody's in the wrong location, before you send them driving across town,
That was go.
to call and say, are you a registered voter in Dearborn, yes or no?
Yeah.
And then send them to the clerk's office, not just, you're not in my precinct, go to the clerk's office, because that's, and I'm not saying that happened every time, but
Yeah.
that's kind of the feedback we heard that.
That's exactly what we're.
Like, hey, my ID, I have, first of all, most people have a driver's license, I would think a high percentage of people have an ID with an address on it.
Yeah.
And if they don't, I guess, I'm just trying to figure out why people were told to drive across town and drive back, because I heard this multiple times, more than 5 times.
Okay. Bianca, did I give the correct description?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would like to say, I made it big, because I want all voters to have the best experience. In training, I made it very clear. I even brought it up on the screen, and I allowed people to do a hands-on training with this, to click, there's precinct, other, and unlisted tabs. And I told everyone, if they do not pop up, and I have some share people here that can be a witness that I did this in training, go to the other tab. Not only do that and tell them where their location is, have them keep that application, that paper that you fill out as soon as you come in, and then they can skip the line, that is the receipt that they had already waited in line somewhere, and go to the front of the line for them to vote. I made that very clear in class. If people aren't doing this at the precincts and I'm not alerted of it, I do apologize to those voters, but that is not what they are trained to do. I am very clear in training that they are to look up each voter, and if they do not show, to look in the other tab, have them keep that application and go to that precinct and skip the line because they had already waited somewhere.
Yeah, I'll just follow up again with my improvement process. To me, that's something that should just be a sign on the wall for the voter. And if they get to the front of the line and they're turned away, there should be signage there that says, keep your card, you don't have to wait in line at your next precinct. I mean, we've all done it. I've done it at Secretary of State. You go to transfer a title, you get to the front of the line, you don't have the right paperwork. They give you a slip so you don't have to wait in line next time. Like, that's the annoying part, is the line. Not being told, go from Tenite to Hague necessarily. It's waiting in line, being told to go away, hopefully not being told to drive to the clerk's office, and then back to Hague to wait in line again.
But that is what they're told to do. I mean, they're told
I
to skip
agree,
the,
but I think,
I do my best.
but I
to
think,
train
I think
with it.
allowing the voter to know that is different than leaving it again to the chair or co-chair that may be on break, may not be on break. We don't know who's at the table when these half a dozen, 2 dozen instances occurred. But to me, as a consumer, as a customer, if I know, like what you just said, I never heard that before. That you take, what do you call that piece of paper?
The application.
The application, the voting application, that you take that to your real precinct and you don't have to wait in line again. To me, that's good as gold. Like, I think if you would have told these 2 dozen people they had that option, again, I think it just de-escalates the issue right away instead of escalating the issue that, well, I have to go drive to the clerk's office only to be told to go back to Hague. And I think that's where people's emotions get escalated and amped up, is they feel like they're on a treadmill just trying to get the vote. I think that's valid. I've never heard that. I've been voting my whole life. I've never heard that option that if you go to the wrong precinct, take your application card and you don't have to wait in line again. That's awesome.
As I'm learning things through being the election supervisor, that was implemented in this election to make sure that they take that with them. However, they've always been told to look in the other tab.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, Bianca, but a couple other questions. I don't know if you were here at the EAC, but from my understanding, many people came here trying to vote. Is that your understanding as well, besides the 91 that were legally eligible to vote?
That weren't allowed to vote here?
No, they came here
Yeah.
to vote because they were sent from their precinct away, which if you're indicating that you trained them to look up where they were going, obviously that didn't happen because they came here to vote.
I don't know what the number was. Would you have any idea?
I don't think it was very many, Council President.
Okay.
Sometimes we do get.
Yeah, come forward so we can have a record.
Sometimes we do get people who voted for the first time in the previous election and never have seen the inside of their polling location and think this is where they're voting. But I don't think it was very many that got rerouted, in error.
Okay. I'd like to move forward on one of the final points is that, regarding how many precincts were shut down due to, let's say, my understanding, from what I seen at Hague and in Bryant was a couple hours, that, people were sent, your personnel were sent with laptops, but didn't have the power cord to power them. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so who's the answer for that? Who can we ask about that? Bianca or yourself?
It's all of us.
Okay.
It's all of us. So-
I know, but
Yeah.
I stood there where people left because they told them our power went out. The power didn't go out.
Power did not go out.
Right, we sent them with laptops without the ability to charge them, is that correct?
That's correct. Fully
Okay.
charged laptops were delivered to the locations without their power bank.
And,
Correct.
okay, but who's in charge of that, Mr. Clerk? I mean, who made that decision?
So we have laptop bags that are QC quality checked by a voting assistant to make sure that everything is in that laptop bag, that's needed for every precinct. Then we have to, at 4 PM on Monday, the day before, we have to take that laptop out of that bag in order to download all the voter information on it. And when those laptops were put back in the bag, some precincts did not get their charger put in the bag with the laptop. Though the laptops were fully charged, we have a machine that fully charges all 33 of them at the same time. So they were fully charged, knowing that that charge lasts 3-4 hours typically. And couple cases, this
Right.
election,
But
they
the fully- right.
didn't last that long without the charger. But Bianca can address when the chargers were delivered.
Right, I know, but I wanna know how many precincts were shut, because I know Ryan was down for a couple of hours. I know Hague was down for a small amount of time, but I wanna know, so you're indicating they charge them before you get them there. But to me, that's immaterial, because they don't last more than 3 hours. Is that your statement? They last 3 to 4 hours?
Yeah, and then there was never a time when they didn't have their cord before those 3 hours. Never a time that they didn't have the cord before those 3 hours.
Okay, so are you saying, because I was at Hague,
Yeah.
they didn't have power, the battery ran out of the laptop, and they sent people home. So you're saying that didn't happen because I was there?
I'm saying at Hague, for some reason at Hague, even though it was fully charged, it died prematurely.
I know, but you can't say it died prematurely.
Yes, I
It's a
can.
battery, it's a battery, so you're saying you know how long it's gonna last? What if it depends on the uses, depends on the condition, depends on where the location is, I mean, come on.
It died. Nowhere else did it die but at Hague.
It's
Out of
only right.
33 locations, one location it died.
It only died in Hague.
Correct.
Is that your understanding too?
That's correct.
Okay, but they didn't have a power cord, so not only did it die, they didn't have a power cord, is that what you're saying?
The power cord was there, I don't know exactly. what
They
type of
brought
power
it,
cord
I
was
seen
there.
them bring it. So, can you tell me what's going on, because I guess the same precinct that, for some reason, the battery miraculously died sooner, also didn't have a power cord.
That's correct, that they were, as George said, they were QC'd. This was a step that was missed after we downloaded the EPVs. We made sure that the computers were charged. This was a mistake on my end, because we did have other people loading the laptops. I should have verified that everything went back into the laptop bags. I was busy working on the poll books that were being sent out, and so that is my fault. But I will say Hague was the only one that died. Dawn is here as well, and within 5 minutes of it dying, we did get a charger to them. I do apologize for the error in that. That was 100% my fault. They were quality checked prior to the downloaded EPV. When
I
we
know,
were
the
doing that,
quality check, I know, but I don't wanna get misconfused. The quality check has nothing to do with, even if they were quality checked, the election day is how many hours?
15.
Okay, so does it matter if they were quality checked if the average life is 3 to 4 hours?
No, I'm sorry, when I say quality check, I mean that they go through with a checklist and make sure that there's a scanner, mouse, laptop, the mouse pad, and the charging port in there. So when I say that they were quality checked, that means that the power and everything was in there. The only reason that they were then taken out was because by law, we cannot download the electronic poll book prior to 4 PM the night before. And then obviously that quality check with the power report is kind of non-existent, which it is my fault because I was working on something else that I did not verify, that they then put that charger back into the bag. Which should not have happened, well, I never rely on just battery, that's not the case, which is why I had the bags quality checked, meaning they went through each item that's supposed to be in that laptop bag prior to this. It was just because of the download and us charging the laptops then that the chargers were taken out.
Okay, well, I'm glad you clarified that, because it seems to be, to me, that that's the key, is that that's what was missing, not whether how long the battery
No,
lasts. I mean, it's not the issue on how long the battery lasts. It's not gonna last 15 hours, that's for damn sure. So,
No.
the question next is, what happened at Bryant then, that they were shut down for 2 hours? That wasn't a plug?
I'm not aware of Bryant being shut down for 2 hours.
So you don't know that Bryant was shut down for 2 hours?
I know that Bryant had an EPB issue, which I
Okay,
took
what's it,
care of.
okay, give us, we don't wanna acronym, what's an EPP issue? That's okay, because you're saying you were unaware, I got a problem, I'm concerned with that. You're the election supervisor, because I know a gentleman that drove from there to Hague, and I told him, you gotta go to the, I assume you gotta go vote if it's down there. And my daughter was there for the entire 15 hours. So you didn't know that Bryant was down for 2 hours?
No, I didn't.
Okay, did you aware of that?
Brian was down for 1 hour.
Okay, so you're aware of it, but she wasn't aware of it?
Not of 2 hours, sorry. From when she took a phone call, and I even spoke to her about the amount of time that it took to fix the problem, and she said from 17 minutes from the time she had figured out what the problem was to it being resolved, it was a 17-minute issue. I knew it was down for a little longer than 17 minutes, obviously, because she was figuring out the issue. I was unaware that it was a 2-hour delay that you're speaking of, not that it wasn't down at all. It
Okay,
was,
what is your understanding of what happened at Bryant that made it not able for anybody to vote for an hour or 2 hours?
Yeah, so it was resolved by 7:52.
Okay, what was
And the
it?
issue was, when the laptop was loaded, it was loaded with the wrong precinct. Each time we download the electronic poll book, we have to designate the precinct. This one was not designated with the Bryant precinct. The click was done incorrectly, it was a different precinct. We had one voter come in, they called us and they said, this voter's not in our precinct. We asked them to click the other precinct tab, as Bianca referenced, and he was in the other tab, but you can't issue a ballot to the other tab. Our immediate concern was that there was something that we had missed with the precinct consolidation. So I called Wayne County Bureau of Elections. They got me in contact with the state. And in, like she said, in about 17 minutes, when no other consolidated precinct called, I decided to go out there and look at their laptop. Their laptop was loaded for precinct number 13, not for 3738. I uninstalled it, I reinstalled it, and they were back up. They were running at 7:52. I do understand they had one voter that they turned away. I cautioned them that was.
Your understanding is there only one voter?
That's what they told me when I got there.
So it's the same guy I talked to then?
And that was
Who
incorrect.
came here to vote, and they told him he cannot vote?
And they should not have sent him away. So everyone got a stern warning that he should not have been sent away. He should still have been issued a ballot. You can still issue a ballot. There are paper poll book backup procedures.
But they didn't do that?
They did not do that.
Right, but you told them to do that, right? They trained them to do that, correct?
They did.
I mean, do you see, it's becoming more and more apparent. I mean, there is a problem. And people wanna know why we're here tonight, right? I mean, like I said, it's very concerning. And, I don't see that we have a good direction. It seems like we have excuse after excuse, and we fixed and we tried. And we get the election results at 4:30 in the morning. Now, I want to move to the final point, and I'm going to make sure my colleagues have some questions to make sure we wrap this up. But I'd like to know, because I have a resolution that I want to offer as well, but I want to find out who can answer regarding the Board of Canvassers and the chain of custody. So who's going to answer who's going to talk about that one?
I can talk to you.
All right, so the Board of Canvassers, you guys are more than welcome to sit down, whatever. I want to find out what happened unless you were involved with the Board of Canvassers. So if I misspeak, I'd like you to correct me, let me know what's going on. the Board of Canvassers regarding this article, and Mr. Romer, I'm gonna have to ask you, if your mic is on, because I like to, and it's not a legal opinion, I like to find out, yeah, I'll put it back on. There you go. So before I go to that, I'd like Mr. Clerk to answer. From what I understand, the Board of Canvassers had to meet with you at you present, is that correct?
They meet at the end of every canvas, and this time they asked me to join them, along with
Okay.
a couple other communities, correct?
Okay, so let's make it clear, we just want to deal with our community. So they asked you to join, they don't ask you to join in the past, correct?
I think one other time they did,
Okay.
maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay, so they asked you just to come and watch, or what's going on?
No, they had a question about something else, to be honest with you, I'd have to look it up and get it to you. I'm not
Okay,
sure.
let's focus on this time.
Okay.
This time there was a problem with the chain of custody, is that correct?
Yeah, well, yes.
Okay, can you explain so that everybody can understand what a chain of custody is and why they called you to that meeting?
So, so typically, and I'm looking at my notes here that I had sent out. Typically, after the absentee ballots are counted on election night, they're put into what's called there's a sealed canvas certified ballot bag. And then we keep them locked in our cage in the bag, and only Bianca, myself, and Megan have the key to that cage. So they're sealed in that canvas bag until Wayne County needs them for whatever reason.
They're required to be there?
They're required to be in the sealed, certified canvas bag. So after that time, then they are removed from the canvas bag and they're put into something called a retention bag, which is still a sealed canvas bag, but it's uncertified. It's just a sealed bag. So on this election, the absentee ballots were placed in the sealed canvas bag, but the bags were not the certified bags. They were in the uncertified bags that said ballot bag on them. So when we were telling people, okay, when we're done with the night, at the end of the night, let's put everything in the ballot bag, they put it in a bag that said ballot bag and was canvas, and they sealed it. And so when Wayne County called us and said, okay, there's a few balancing issues in some A/B counting boards, can you bring in the ballots? When we brought in the ballots, Bianca and Megan brought in the ballots, they said, wait a minute, these are not the certified bags, these are the retention bags. And we said, oh, yeah, okay, fine, there should have been in the certified bags, but they were retention bags. That looked very similar, and like I said, they say ballot bags on it, so there was an error made, and that breaks the chain of custody as far as Wayne County is concerned. So that breaks the chain, because then they don't know 100% for sure if the chain of custody was not broken, because they're not in the certified bag, where we would have to have people sign their names to the certified bag.
Right, so the certification bag is not just a bag that says certification, it also has to do with a process that has to be signed.
Yes, yes.
Like an affidavit.
Yeah, and they said, because of this, we're gonna have to bring this matter up with the Board of Canvassers and see if they have an issue with the chain of command, and if they want to retabulate to balance some of those precincts that were off. And this whole process, there was never a question if those 7,700 ballots were gonna be counted or not. Of course they were gonna be counted, but they wanted to know if the Board of Canvassers were interested in opening up and retabulating to balance the precincts that we were off a few here or there. And so when the Board of Canvassers met, they said, they voted, I think it was a 2-2 vote, not to do it. The chain of custody issue was brought up. They were satisfied with my explanation, with what I just explained to you, that there wasn't really a break where anybody had the opportunity to go in, because they were sealed by us, locked in a cage. A couple hours later, they were, the cage was opened up by them, so nobody else had the opportunity to get to these ballots. And they also discussed would it have changed anything in the election results and the outcome of Dearborn's election? And the answer was no. The difference between the unbalanced and some precincts wouldn't have changed because they knew the difference between, for instance, the council president and the council pro tem was too large of a gap that had these 50 or 60 votes matter. The difference between the 7th and the 8th place person wouldn't matter. Even the distance between the next person, the 9th person, the tabulation, opening up the bags and tabulating wouldn't have changed anything on the results. So that's why they certified our election in Dearborn along with all the other counties the next day, and we were certified election.
Okay, so were you both there for this aspect of the chain of custody? So can we get some more explanation on that? But before I get there, I appreciate that, but I want to make sure we understand something. There was a vote of 4 people, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and 2 people voted that the chain of custody was broken, and 2 did not, correct?
The vote was not about the chain of custody. The
What was it
vote
about?
was, shall we retabulate the bags? Should we open up and retabulate the bags? We didn't care one way or the other. In fact, we preferred that they did open up the bags so we could balance those A-B precincts that were off. But they decided not to vote to open the bags up. Again, it wouldn't have changed any of the results. It would have balanced our A-B precincts.
Okay, before I had, were you guys involved in the chain of custody aspect?
We were.
Okay, so we need you both up here. And then, I do have, Mr. Romer, I'm gonna ask you a question, so if you be prepared, I just wanna find out.
I'm ready.
Okay, Councilman Abraham, first.
So first, I guess probably a couple follow-up questions too. You mentioned that the AV ballots by precinct had balancing issues that they didn't balance. Is that typical?
Yes.
And how many precincts were off?
Maybe, how many?
5.
5?
I think maybe 5.
And that's
1 or 2
typical?
kids.
And how many total ballots were unbalanced out of those total of 5 precincts?
I wanna say 50, I remember 59, but maybe it was somewhere around that, 50, 57, 59. Let me, if we
Less
may-
than 60, can we
Okay.
say less than 60?
Yeah, can I just try to explain why it could be out of balance? A typical reason why it could be out of balance?
Yes.
Somebody turns in a ballot, we scan it as a ballot received, we open it up, there's no ballot inside. There's no ballot inside. So it looks like, so we would be off by 1 because there was no ballot. Or sometimes a husband and wife would put 2 ballots in 1 envelope. We're off again because of that. So those are the kinds of issues that we could get cleared up
Yeah.
if we went through and opened up the bags and recounted them and found out exactly why that kind of thing could happen.
So my second question then is, skip this last election, November 4th, let's go back 4 years. How did these out of balance precincts get resolved without going to Wayne County and asking them to recount? I've never heard of a city of Dearborn going to Wayne County and saying, please recount our ballots and help us balance.
Can you answer that?
We, Councilmember, they called us and asked us to bring the ballots to them. We did not reach out to them.
Do we know why that is?
Because, just as clerk said, there's a balancing issue.
But he said there's balancing issues every single election.
Correct, so every single election that there's a balancing issue, we bring the ballots down to the Wayne County Bureau of Elections.
So this happens at every election,
It's commonplace, yes.
and they recount them
They open up the bags and retabulate, yes,
every time,
every time,
but not this time.
but not this time.
This time they asked the Board of Canvassers, since we put them in the wrong bag.
I know.
Because there's an issue with the custody.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to understand, because this is new to me.
Yeah.
I've never heard of Wayne County counting our ballots for us and helping us reconcile. This is a new phenomenon to me. It might have happened all the time and it's invisible, but it's apparent and it's on the table today because of this chain of custody issue that brought this awareness that no one ever had. I don't think anybody in this room ever knew that happened, that we had Wayne County helping balance and count ballots before, so maybe my colleagues knew, I had never heard of that before.
It's because they certify the election, so they're the authority.
Yeah, I understand that, but I've never once been made aware that they actually retabulate our absentee ballots for us. That's never come up. To me, anyway, I can only talk about my experience over the last forever. I mean, my first election was what, George, 97?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we go back a ways and I'm still learning new stuff about this, so thank you, that's all I needed to understand.
Councilman Needham.
Yeah, mine's just on the bags, on the ballot bag and retention bags, on the information you gave us. Are they stored in the same area, so is that how they got placed?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay.
We made mention, I made mention at the Board of Campuses that we would remove those bags, and so that error will never happen again. Even though they said the words ballot bags on it, we will remove that mistake will never happen.
But those ballot bags happen across all of them. How many bags were there?
5? 5 or 6?
Okay. But all 5, not one was certified and signed.
So not one was put in a certified bag. They were all signed and sealed.
Right, so it's not like some people understood your instructions and others didn't.
Correct.
Nobody got your instructions.
Correct.
Is that fair?
Correct.
Okay. So, do you have any thing you'd like to add to this? Because to me, I like the attorney because that's a premise that we're dealing with right now regarding chain of custody is a big deal, okay? The people have to have an expectation that their election was done fairly and done impartially and that we did things right. And when we have breaking custody, chain of custody, and we don't know the ballots were in the wrong bag, that's not a simple error. And it's not like one bag out of the 5, all of them were done that way, correct? Okay. Do you have anything you'd like to add to that so we can get better understanding of how that fell through the cracks? Do you have an explanation? Bianca, do you have any explanation on how that happened?
Other than that, the bags were in the same area together, no,
Right, but even if the bags were in the same area and they were put in the wrong bag, somebody had to certify them. Is that correct, Jordan? Somebody has to sign something. But that never happened, right?
So the bag.
The bags were sealed.
I understand the seal. There's supposed to be a certification you indicated signing. Is that correct?
That's done by the Board of Canvassers.
After they get them?
No.
Okay.
Board of Canvassers, we buy bags. We bring them to the Board of Canvassers, they check the zipper, they check all the seams, and then there's a pocket that they put in, it's signed by all 4 members of the Board of Canvassers that say, this is a certified ballot container, ballot bag. These bags that our absentee ballots were put in were not certified, they were not eligible to be certified. They did not have that certificate, which is separate from the seal.
Right, I understand. The
Yeah.
person who puts those in from our city, they don't sign anything? They don't verify that they did that?
They verify the certificate and the seal. They did not verify that the bag was certified.
Okay, okay. Did you have anything to add to that?
no, that's correct, they do sign it, a Republican and Democrat each sign it with the seal number that goes into the poll book on our end of the city.
And that was done?
Yes.
On all bags?
Correct.
Okay. They just missed that it wasn't the right bag.
Correct.
Councilman Abraham?
I just have a comment and I guess a question. So obviously the absentee ballot, they got in this wrong bag. But who physically puts them into the cage? Because to me, at some point there should be this visual observation that somebody in management, I would assume it's not the lowest level election worker throwing these 7,700 absentees, 5 or 6 ballot bags into a cage, locking it and saying to you guys later, we did our job. I assume that someone was there to make sure that these important ballots, all of them are important, were locked out properly. Is there no visual check to say, hey, there's not a certification on this bag? I understand the labeling and I get that that just makes it more complicated, but to me that's like, that's easy. I know when I'm buying choice beef and I know when I'm buying prime beef because there's a label on it and I look at it before I get to the cash register. seriously, like, that's a big deal. To me, this is kind of the same thing, you see a bag and it doesn't have the certification in the pocket. To me, that should trigger something to say, hey, what's going on here?
So the absentee ballot operation is done in our cage. So on our election headquarters, the very far cage, the bags don't move. And at the end of the night, my focus was on sealing them. I did not realize that they were not the correct certified bags.
Because my final comment is not really relevant, but I'm gonna say it anyway. And because some of the election races were not very close within this 60 ballot margin of error, I think it kind of sweeps the problem under the rug, so to speak, because had one of these races been extremely close, I think we'd be having a much bigger problem today, because we would be leaving our election up to Wayne County to decide whether or not those ballots could be counted or not, or reconciled or not. And that's an extremely dangerous position, I think, for us to be in, where our local election boils down to what 3 out of 4 people on Wayne County Board of Canvassers think we should do with our ballots. And that's very concerning, not for this election, but just in general. I don't like that authority to transfer outside of our city for our local elections, and I believe that's a party line committee. They typically vote along party lines, so you don't know what's going to happen when you have 4 people deciding what to do for the outcome of our local election. Anyway, I think we're fortunate that that necessarily wasn't the case with the results on November 4th. But I think it's concerning, had this election been closer, like Proposal 1, highly contested, if that election would have been 22 votes, I don't know where we would be, but I know whose hands it's in. It's not in our hands. And when I say our, I mean the city of Dearborn. It leaves our hands and goes to Wayne County Board of Canvassers, the way I understand it. And it's out of our control what the results of that election will be, and what ballots will be counted and what ballots will not be counted. And so I'll just leave you with that comment. Like I said, I'll end where I started. I don't think it's relevant because of how the results were on November 4th, but it's relevant to how things happen going forward, because it could be very troubling.
Okay, Mr. Romer, I just have a question regarding the Board of Canvassers and your opinion and the legal department's opinion, because my understanding is much different. You had people take a vote, which if the vote didn't come up in a tie, my understanding that because it was 4 people, 2 and 2 voted in the adverse, that everything stayed the same. Can you expound on that?
Yeah, so the issue before the Board of Canvassers, and if you were to look at their notice, it specifically states retabulation for City of Hamtramck and City of Dearborn. So that's how you knew this wasn't a canvassing of just the general election result for the Board of Canvassers.
And Mr. Roman, I don't want to cut you, but where did you get that notice?
It's on the Board of Canvassers, and they have to notice every meeting that they have, and then they post their agenda as well. But each notice has what issues they're dealing with. So if you look at November 13th, November 14th, that same caption, retabulation, is sitting on their agenda. So that's how you would know, again,
So
this is not just the
Hamtramck
canvassing of it.
in Dearborn?
Yes, that is it says discussion, retabulation. So if you're ever trying to figure out, is this just hey, they're canvassing our general results, or is there a different issue? Look to the notice. The notice tells you exactly what they're going to do.
In your
what's gonna be
opinion,
on the
this
agenda.
was a different issue?
This says retabulation, so it's obviously an issue with bags, right? Because that's how it came to them, and that's what they informed the clerk about. And then they placed it on their agenda because there was this custody issue in the wrong bags.
Okay, and then, before I get to Councilman Abraham, that question, then Mr. Clark, you did not notify the legal department, the council, or the mayor regarding this, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So, Mr. Romer, that's your understanding as well?
Yes, I received no notification.
Okay, so if you did receive notification, would you be able to go to the Board of Canvasser meeting with the clerk or appear to defend or to to be able to be there in case litigation did arise to the taxpayers of the city of Dearborn?
Yes, you can attend, and yes, you can.
But you were never afforded that opportunity?
I was not made aware of the issue until the Board of Canvassers had already voted.
Okay, and Mr. Clerk, do you see any concern with that? Why that the city council, the mayor, nor the legal department was notified that there was a retabulation request by the Board of Canvassers between Dearborn and Hamtramck?
I separate myself from Hamtramck, I don't care about.
I don't separate yourself, right? You were in the same notice as Hamtramck.
Completely different.
Dearborn and Hamtramck is one in this, so let's don't even go there. The notice was put out, Hamtramck and Dearborn. So let's don't go there. Let's find out why you felt you shouldn't tell the legal department.
I think that the issue that you're bringing up about this was not as dire as you believed it to be. I also believe that since I talked to numerous clerks about this and had their experience having the same issue, advised me that go there, tell the truth, tell them exactly what happened, and they will be honest with you, and they will do whatever they feel is necessary. Like I said, I would have preferred that they opened up the bags and retabulated, because I wanted to get as close to perfect on those numbers as I could. They decided not to. I explained it to them. Their chair seemed to be very happy with my explanation, and I didn't think it was an issue that was going to explode and make the city of Dearborn look bad. So I did not realize that not advising the corporation council, and my apologies to the corporation council, because in hindsight, yes, he should have known about it. But
Okay, well, I'm glad that you agree with that, because that's a resolution that I want to pass so that it doesn't never happen again, or it's not allowed for you to determine that. When you said you talked to the Board of Canvassers, the chair, was that at the Canvasser
Yes.
Board meeting?
Yes.
And you felt good?
I did.
Right. But that was at the meeting, right? So you had no opportunity then to get the city attorney or notify the council or the mayor when it was already ongoing.
I understand, and that's why I say, in hindsight, he should have been informed.
Councilman Abraham.
I guess I just need some clarification. When and how did Wayne County Board of Canvassers become aware that the wrong bags were used?
That's up to the Wayne County, board, or the Wayne County Director of Elections Division. They contacted them. They didn't, I don't have a specific date and time when they contacted the canvassers, but when we had the issue, they realized that we had the wrong bags. They said, we're gonna have to tell the Board of Canvassers.
So help me with that. Did you guys realize first, or did the Wayne County elections realize? Trying to find what was the trigger?
Yeah, Wayne County.
You realized it first?
No, Wayne County.
The elections division.
The Elections Division. When we brought the bags there,
So when you delivered the absentee ballot bags,
yes,
the election division made you aware
that these were not certified
that the bags were not certified bags?
Yes, yes. And, yes.
So then they notified Wayne County, as you indicated, the Board of Canvassers.
Board of Canvassers,
The Board of Canvassers decided on their own
yes.
to post the meeting, to vote to retabulate.
Well, the motion, I think.
They had to post
I'm
the
not clear what
meeting.
the motion was. The motion was either to retabulate or the motion was to not retabulate. One way or the other, they still voted 2-2, so it was,
So there's no action.
yeah, no action taken. Yeah. Yeah.
And they didn't bring up, I guess I'm just concerned that they made an issue out of the chain of custody, but yet their only discussion was whether or not to retabulate the ballots or not retabulate the ballots.
They brought up the chain of custody in their discussions. After I gave my representation of what happened, then they talked amongst themselves about a few different things, and the chain of custody was one of the things that they brought up, and some people thought it was a big deal.
Thing that goes wrong, I know if there's a solution for that, we can Anything that goes wrong, I know if there's a solution for that, we can, implement and correct for any future election. And removing those bags from that room, I think will completely eliminate that possibility of it happening again. Plus the panic that this has caused, will make sure that, I make sure those bags are always correct myself.
All right, thank you. Mr. Romer, in regarding, you can stay with this, regarding this, the canvassers, is that your understanding, what the clerk has indicated, that the issue of 2-2 and what could have happened if it wasn't 2-2, what is your take on that?
Well, yeah, so a lot of it depends on how it's coming before the Board of Canvassers. So this is literally motioned as retabulation. So a tie means they do nothing, right? You need the positive. So yeah, it's not uncommon for them to be gridlocked because it's 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats, and so they see the issues very differently.
Okay, but there was no jeopardy that they weren't going to be counted?
Well, no. It really depends on how comfortable and how the board views the chain of custody issue. And I say that because in this case, to Councilman Abraham's point, the margins were so large, there was likely, it sounds like in the opinion of the board, kind of like there was a harm here, but it's not gonna change the result. But you don't have to look any farther for a chain of custody issue than next door in Hamtramck, right? Their ballots were nullified. And even
So they
if the
could
board-
nullify the ballots if they wanted to?
Even if the board doesn't do that, a chain of custody issue on ballots you can still be subject to court action, a challenge by one of the candidates. It's just this ball of issues that should be avoided essentially. So to Bob or Councilman Abraham's point, you're then again at the mercy of the Board of Canvassers instead of it being a Dearborn controlled outcome. So I just disagree. In this case, they were issuing the retabulation of the ballots. But can the Board of Canvassers nullify ballots on a chain of custody? Absolutely they can. They just did it next door.
Right, so that means that there was more at stake.
Chain of custody is very serious. It's a very serious thing that needs to be correct.
Okay. So do we understand that? Because this being, it's not a big deal and we talked to the chair and all that. Do you understand that these could have been invalidated like they were in another city?
Absolutely, I'm not looking.
Do you understand that as well?
Yes.
Okay, because this was not, and nobody in the city knew about this, which I got a real problem with, because we're the ones charged with funding if there was a lawsuit and preparing and defending. We never had an opportunity. And I'm glad that the clerk admits that, because that's the resolution that I'm here to pass tonight as well, to make sure this never happens again. And we're also gonna have to deal with that in budgetary aspect as well too, because we're not gonna allow what's happening over and over again to continue to happen. So we're gonna have to line item your budget and fund it specifically to force you to do things, because it's not acceptable what's happened. It's not a one-off, it's not a simple mistake. You're talking about chain of custody, tabulators not used, long lines, people like I indicated to you, you cannot measure who left and did not vote because they couldn't get in. You can't measure that. And that's not acceptable. So before we go to this resolution, I know Councilwoman Herrick had a question?
Yeah, sorry, going back to the bags, after all this, sorry to go back to the bags, but are those retention bags used on election day for something?
For the EV envelopes.
The AV what?
The envelopes, the envelopes, the return envelopes.
They're used for an election day.
Okay, so just the empty envelopes when they're
Correct.
done?
Correct.
So it's going to
Okay,
be-
so they're still gonna be present in the offices during election day, but they're gonna be in a separate place than the certified bags? Okay, all right, thank you.
Right, but just so we clarify, Mr. Romer, can you just, so that I can, okay. It's okay, just so I can clarify to those that don't understand the legal ramification of chain of custody, just to put in a lame person. What happens is, if you can't follow that this ballot was specifically not tampered with and went through, they can invalidate those ballots. Is that your understanding, Mr. Roman?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they did do that in other cities.
They did it next door in Hamtramck. That was the ballots found in the clerk's office were nullified by the Board of Canvassers. They were not counted.
Okay. So this is serious, and this is not us wanting to come in here on Tuesday, a couple days before Thanksgiving for no reason. There's a very pointed purpose in everything that I schedule. And we have to be better. And these things are not, like I said, when you take up individually, you may be able to say why, but in a totalitarian, what's happened, there's no way that I can stand here and say that, no, there's no issue. So I'd like to make sure, if my colleagues have any other questions, I'd like to make sure we wrap this up, and I want to make sure that we pass this resolution that will codify that, which we'll have it read into the record, that anytime there is a notice, that the council, the mayor, as well as the legal department must immediately be notified. So I don't think you have any problem with it, the clerk doesn't have any problem with that, but the bottom line is we have to be held accountable to our residents and make sure that we have a chance to defend and be able to be there when we're the ones that are gonna have to be dealing with the litigation.
Council President, I agree with you 100% on that resolution.
Okay, great, thank you. You two ladies have anything you'd like to add? Yeah, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I just want you guys to know that I do take every error seriously. This is not a small matter, any of them. It doesn't matter if it's the smallest power cord. Like I said, where there's a situation, I hope to find a solution, and I can only learn from this. Again, this is only my third election, and like Councilman Abraham had said, they've even known about the applications. Every training I do, I try to improve. I've added hands-on videos, and I'll only continue to try and do better so that some of these issues don't happen again and again. The quality checking has to just come from my end. I can't put that in someone else's hands as far as chargers or anything like that goes. So I just want you guys to know they're taken seriously. All of these issues, there isn't anything I haven't taken seriously, no matter how big or small.
Okay, Councilman Pierce.
Yes, if I could, Council President, the comment that I wanted to make about this whole process is, I'll be honest, I knew nothing about the resolution until coming here tonight. Okay, and I know that before us now, and I've had an.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Councilman. I just want you to know that was today. I'm just out of fairness.
Right.
Today I spoke with the legal department and asked them. Mr. Romer, is that correct? I spoke to you this afternoon.
Yeah, I apologize, I turned on my coffee.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Yes, this afternoon.
And I asked him to draft it.
Okay.
So I want to be fair. I do want you to have time.
Yeah.
But I want you to understand it's not something that it was not an oversight. I was trying to find. You got to remember, Councilman, because I want to make sure you understand is that there's limited things that we can do as elected by a body because the elections are in the control of the state and the county and the clerk. So that's why there's things we can and cannot do. So I have to speak with legal to make sure what we could do and what we couldn't do. I wasn't even aware that we could do this. I was thinking of a way. I just want to make sure you understand why
It's just part
it
of
was a
the
delay.
comment that I wanted to make. It's just like the questions and answers that we received tonight, and then also previously, just recently, had the questions and answers that were supplied by the clerk's office. I understand bringing up a lot of what we discussed tonight should be done in a public forum. So some of these things that I'm hearing for the first time, and I'm not definitely speaking for anybody else, on council. Some of these things I've heard in a roundabout way, from other people at the polls. Some things you can't tell if they're accurate or they're not accurate. So some of the things that have come up in a public meeting now too, it is in public, so we can be transparent about it. And that's something that I do appreciate, that it is our responsibility of here on council to be transparent and to come to factual basis about what we're trying to accomplish. So I just wanted to say that some of this, I had not heard before, so I appreciate the opportunity to be able to discuss this in a public forum.
Of course, thank you, Councilman. Okay, before we get to the resolution I'm going to pass, so that the clerk can read it to the record, and I will be offering it, and we'll ask for support. But before we get there, ladies, thank you so much for coming in and attending and giving us some option on what's going on. Okay. Mr. George, so we can read it to the record when we call it. I do have a comment card, and I do want to allow a couple comments from anybody that has been here tonight that have some questions, because the elections are open, and we want to make sure everybody's heard. So if you do not have to fill a comment card out. If you do want to make a statement or like to speak, please just give my attention, and we're going to call for you. I have one card is Mr. Osman Al-Ansi. So if you'd like to step forward, so you can go ahead and have a floor.
Am I signing this?
Okay, yeah, just a kind reminder, yes, clerk, if you don't mind, just the 3-minute limitation is going to give you a 30-second warning. And just remember your name and address for the record.
Yeah, my name is Osman Al-Ansi, 7441 Kentucky Street. Good evening, council president, council members, clerk Durrani, and everyone here. First, I want to make something absolutely clear. I'm not here to challenge the results or accuse anyone of wrongdoing. I'm here because many residents from different backgrounds and neighborhoods reached out to me with concerns they personally experienced on election day. In a community like Dearborn, where trust matters deeply, I believe it's important that those concerns are respectfully acknowledged. Some of these issues shared with me included long wait times in specific precincts, tabulators not being used or being limited in certain locations, confusion about absentee ballot reissuance, power outages that temporarily disrupted operations, delays in reporting results until after 4:30 a.m., and residents being rejected for poll worker positions while precincts still experience staffing shortages. Real leadership means learning from what didn't go smoothly, improving processes, and making sure voters feel confident in the system, especially at a time when our community has been unfairly attacked, misrepresented, and targeted online. We cannot afford even the appearance of disorganization. Transparency protects all of us, voters, poll workers, and the clerk's office included. I want to acknowledge Clerk Durrani, the election inspectors, and the many volunteers who worked extremely hard on election day. This is not about blame. It's about clarity, consistency, and continuous improvement. One constructive step we can take moving forward is increasing transparency in the absentee ballot process. From the moment envelopes are opened to when ballots are tabulated to when results are finalized, allowing candidates, their designated representatives, and accredited observers to observe that process from start to finish, which strengthens trust and confidence across all communities. I'm here today simply because many residents did not know where or how or where to voice their concerns, and I felt a responsibility to ensure they were heard respectfully. At the end of the day, we all want the same thing: strong elections, clear communication, and a process the entire city can trust. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else here would like to address the council? Mr. Moser?
Good evening, Council. Adam Moser, Charles Street. I just have a question on if the Board of Canvassers decided not to retabulate, but can the city of Dearborn, for the sake of transparency, do that on its own? Is that a possibility still?
That's a good question. Mr. Clerk, do you have the ability to answer that?
I don't have that.
Certified.
I don't have that answer, but since the election has already been certified by Wayne County, I think we've passed that point of return.
So if candidates would have challenged the results, would you need to retabulate? And because what I heard from the Board of Canvassers, and I attended the meeting online, is that they cannot, because of the issues with the chain of custody, it's impossible to do retabulation. Was that the case?
It's, okay, it wouldn't have been impossible to do the retabulation, but it would be impossible to recount these AV votes. The AV votes would not be able to be recounted.
Why would that? I was unaware of that. Why would they, you just said you wanted them to recount.
I wanted them to retabulate. He's talking about a total recount of all 7,700 ballots.
Okay, you're talking about.
I'm talking about
just
correcting the errors that were in the onesies and twosies that add up to less than 60.
Okay.
That's what they were talking about.
So they weren't talking about the bags with the chain of custody when they were voting?
No, I think they took that into consideration when they were voting. Yes.
If you don't mind, is it true that this has happened before? The chain of custody has been an issue before?
Not with Dearborn.
Not with Dearborn, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr.
So,
Rosen, I
it's
apologize, because that was something I was wondering.
Yeah, I will certainly double check on that, but I was told that because there was an issue with the bags themselves, that those ballots in those bags could not be recounted. The ones at early voting, no issues. The ones at the precincts, no issues. But since there was an issue with using the wrong bag, those ballots could not be recounted. But I will double check that.
Okay, but you're saying that's never happened before, under your term,
We had one occasion when somebody wanted to recount one precinct. And when we got that bag out, Tracy was the deputy at the time, when she got that bag out and we took it to Wayne County, they said, well, this book bag is a little loosey-goosey, and somebody could have stuck their finger in there and opened it up. So we're not gonna allow you to retabulate this bag, because this bag, we think, was not correct. We think this bag was out of line.
so that answer means that this happened before.
It happened one time with one precinct in my 8 years, yes.
Okay, so it happened before. The chain of custody was a question about.
Not a chain of custody, the bag was loose, and they wouldn't allow us to recount the bag as the bag was loose. Not a chain of custody, just the bag was loose. The seal looked like it could have been pulled off easily, and so they wouldn't let us recount that bag.
Okay, before I let, Dr. Moses, go ahead, Moses.
Just one other request, I mean, to restore the trust that has been unfortunately broken, especially for future elections. Is there a possibility that the clerk, since you're an elected member, to initiate some kind of an oversight committee that you can have, that people will feel comfortable that, hey, there's somebody watching, especially when we're doing these absentee ballots counting. And the other thing is that the law has changed where you're allowed to count absentee ballot at 8 p.m. So I'd like to hear why that was not the case.
Why we did not count the ballots at
8 p.m. You start with absentee and then you count the other ballots as they come.
We can't count the precincts until they bring.
No, absentee ballots.
We started counting the absentee ballots at 10 a.m. I think it was on election day.
He did answer that, Mr. Moses.
Sorry, I was.
That's okay, then that's fine. I asked the same question, I just want to make sure we're clear.
Okay.
What he indicated to me, which makes perfect sense, and what he indicated to me is that they did start counting on the day of the election, but they don't get reported until all of them are put in at the end of the election day. Is that correct?
Yes.
So my understanding, because I was sent an email with my colleagues indicating I'm gonna do all the absentees are gonna be the last ones that come in. That's why I stayed up to 4 in the morning or 4:30, because I knew that everything was gonna flip. Because we've been around long enough to know this is what happens with that. The indication though is that that's when you can tabulate them together, but they were being counted. Is that a correct statement?
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Mr. Clerk, I'm sorry, Mr. Rover, other than, because the state statutory does not allow this to happen for the gubernatorial election, there's gonna be 2 tabulators.
Yes.
Other than budgetary, is there any other way the council can force the number of people to be at each precinct so that this doesn't happen again? And that the tabulators that we bought can be used? Oh, sorry. You on? There you go, sorry.
Go ahead. So as part of the budget, you could allocate staff above what would be required for the clerk to carry out that function. I think routinely the clerk does request additional staff, not just money for the election day workers, but permanent staff to be earmarked for designated purposes through the budget, through job specifications and whatnot. But aside from that, the state law and the duties of elections really does fall with the clerk. So provided you're over what I'll call the minimums, for lack of a better phrase, yeah, you can do that through budgeting and provide surplus and direct the clerk to use the surplus a certain way, especially through budget.
Right, or we can also, during budget, line item the budget, specifically put in the number of employees and dollar amounts. Is that, can we also do that as well?
Yeah, Yes, I agree with that, provided that, you're providing enough for
Yeah,
the
as long as
board
we-
to meet the minimums
Yeah.
of the election, yes.
Which, of course, we're not trying to do anything of a minimum standard in the city of Dearborn. So it would not conflict with state law, and that's a power that the council can exercise.
Council President, if I may.
Yes, Mr. Clerk.
And one of the questions you asked, I did put something in there about how I thought we could be more efficient at the end of the night, and it was to hire what we had first wanted to do as a voting assistant two, would be a higher quality person, paying them what they deserve for their knowledge and their expertise, and assigning them at the end of the night specific duties for the AB counting board and the duties of what the AB counting board does under the direction of the deputy. I really truly believe that if we just had a couple people there to help oversee the whole operation at the end, I really think you would see the improvement for not a very high cost, a very minimal
Well,
cost.
that's fair. It's a great suggestion. That's never been brought forward before.
Yeah, it's.
I know you brought forward before you wanted vans, but you never brought forward that.
I'm bringing it up.
I know, but that's fair, but you gotta bring it during budget.
Yes.
Because that's where the taxpayer dollars are being allocated, and we can't, you're in the best position to know.
Yes.
And that's why when we said, no, we're not gonna give you vans to move the tabulators, we did not agree to that, and the council did not agree with that. I don't see anybody that would disagree with you on what you're saying, but that's your responsibility to bring it forward. But we're gonna make sure that we go over the election part very, very thoroughly. And because we need to turn it around faster, not only accurate, but faster as well. I mean, there's no reason that we should be waiting, the late nights to get these results.
I agree with you.
All right.
Can I say- I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Rose my hand in.
That's okay, that's fine, I didn't see you, I apologize. Come
Sorry,
forward,
okay.
and just remember, we need you to state your name and address for the record, and kind of remind you of a 3-minute limitation.
Okay. Hi, my name's Kathy Belair, and I live on Maven Street by Bryant. And none of you really know me, because I'm just a resident, and I just kind of love living in Dearborn, and I'm not really involved in any of this stuff. But I came tonight because my husband is the one who was told to go to the admin building at 7:05 or something from Bryant. He is the man who.
What's your husband's name?
Jason Belair.
Okay, that's not the gentleman I was talking about.
I know it's not the man you spoke to.
That's right, but they said there was only one.
I think there was only one, and, so I don't know, I posted it on Facebook, that's why I'm here today. Because my husband texted me and said, hey, just so you know, there's an issue, don't go vote there, you have to go to the admin, or to the admin building to vote. And I just wanted to let people in my neighborhood, in my precinct know, hey, go up there.
Go to the admin.
Correct, so I felt somewhat responsible for creating some of this. This is my fault, and I apologize. I was truly only trying to help.
No problem.
And I do believe he is the only one. And, so I wanted to clarify that. He did not come to the admin building to vote. He went to work. He went back to Bryant after work to vote. There was a line. My impression, listening to you guys today, is like there's never been lines voting before. I've been voting in Dearborn for over 30 years. More often than not, I'm waiting in a line, and 12 is not a lot. I don't think it's a big deal. My husband doesn't think it's a big deal. People come to vote. Sometimes there are things that happen. Even with that computer thing, right? It was fixed very quickly, and I'm like, that's great. I was an engineer before I became a stay-at-home mom. Things happen, whatever. And so I wanted to clear that up, because I feel somewhat responsible for that, because I did post that. But again, not a huge deal, and it was fixed quickly. Regarding the absentee ballots, my dad is 92 years old. He votes absentee. He has raved about how well that was handled, how, for a 92-year-old guy who clearly he's all there, right? Amazing for 92. He said the second mailing labeled very clear, very easy to follow, didn't have a problem with it at all. So I just wanted to say that. He was fine with that. I had some other things, but it doesn't matter. Those are kind of the two major ones.
Thank you.
I think it is fortunate for this body here that this was not broadcast. Because to me, I really didn't have a lot of opinions about most of you. I like that you, thank you so much for representing us, but I think it did not come off well. To me, it comes off not as like, hey, we had some issues, let's work together, let's fix it. It came out antagonistic, kind of attacking, not impressed, but I appreciate all that you do, but I think it was more of a bashing session than, hey, we have some issues, let's fix these issues.
Are you
So-
saying that that's what you perceived, or that's what?
This is what I perceived, that's what I'm saying.
Before you came?
No, before I came, I was totally fine. Before I came because I felt bad, because I posted on Facebook, hey,
Okay.
don't vote for Brian, and I thought, oh my gosh, I wonder if
No, I
somebody is
understand.
because of
I'm
that,
just
that's
trying-
my fault.
I know, I'm trying to ask, I'm just trying to figure out, because the person that I was talking about that went to Brian, that came to Hague, and then went to the A, and his name is Yard. So it wasn't your husband, so.
No, I'm just talking about the one man who came and they couldn't find him in
That
the
was your
computer.
husband.
That was my husband.
Well, I appreciate that. But
Yeah.
what you're saying is, you didn't, just so but you're asking about the process here today, tonight?
No,
about how
I'm
we
just
handle this?
commenting today that a couple of you kind of came off as not really wanting to work nicely with each other to fix the problem. It comes across as very much attacking and accusing them of intentionally doing something wrong. And I don't think that's,
Right.
I don't know if that's the intention. I'm saying that's how it came across
Yeah.
to me sitting back there.
Right, no, I understand, but if that's the intention, then we wouldn't have sent questions that exactly they were gonna be asked and not to deviate from them weeks in advance and had conversations. So I understand how you might feel, but we're here to do a job, ma'am, and we have
I
to make
understand.
sure. I know, but I just wanna make sure you understand what's going on. The things that happened during this election, I don't agree with you, I don't think they were one-offs. I don't like the way it was handled, I don't think we
I
have to
think
wait
this
till
whole
4:30
election
to
cycle
vote.
was a mess. But
I understand.
Not the
But
election, not
there's-
the election.
There's things that are
Things
under
that
our
led up to
control,
it.
ma'am, and there's things that are not, okay?
Yep.
When you get called to the board of canvassers and you're not notified by this. to
I
the
agree
city-
that's wrong, I agree with
Okay,
that one.
I
Yeah,
understand.
I agree with that.
We're
I
not
just-
here for no reason. This meeting was called, we spoke with the clerk, we had conversations, we told him exactly what we were gonna ask him, we asked him to be prepared for this. This is not trying to find a gotcha moment.
I
So
understand, we're miscommunicating,
No,
that's
I know,
okay.
but
I
I
think
think you're
this is not
saying
what I
it's a
think.
okay, I don't know, you're saying it's a Facebook thing?
No.
We didn't.
It's fine.
We could have broadcasted this, we chose not to do that.
No, I'm glad you did. I'm just, it's fine. I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree with what you're saying. It's okay.
I understand.
appreciate it.
And
Thank
you do also understand that we don't know how many people did not vote because of what happened on these election days, right?
Maybe, yeah. I think that's probably true with every election.
That's correct.
Yeah, I'm not so, I guess I'm not so sure that things that happen at the schools, at the precincts, some of those things I think probably happen all the time.
Okay.
And we just don't hear about it. You know,
No, I
like I
appreciate
said, we were talking about, oh, there's never, people have to wait in line. I almost always have to wait in line.
Ma'am, I understand, we're not here just for wait in line.
I
There was a
know.
whole
I
list of
know.
things we were here.
I understand.
Okay.
My last comment really doesn't matter. Thank you all.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, does anyone else here like, okay, one second, one second. One second. Okay, one second, sir, before you start. Councilman Herrick, you had something to comment on that?
Thank you. Ms. Bellier, thank you for coming and joining us this evening. I think that some of the council members, we all come with different perspectives to council and representing the voters and the residents of Dearborn. And so a meeting like this, we probably all come with different expectations of what it's about, what it's going to turn into. In just speaking on my behalf, yes, I heard about some of the things that were addressed as specifics here, but I came seeking knowledge about the voting process, about some of the things that I take for granted are done very well by our clerks and their staff, that we don't hear that there are more issues that happen in our elections, but knowing that there's always something to be learned. And so I came here to learn what does happen more behind the scenes that leads up to relatively smooth election processes. Yes, if I see voters in line at a precinct, I don't jump to, oh my gosh, they're not prepared for us. I think, oh my gosh, isn't it great there are so many people voting today? And so I came with that mindset. Yes, let's find out about some of the things that happen, you know, that have concerned folks, and also thinking about the bigger picture. that it's not just Dearborn, but it's a national issue, that people are concerned that they're, when they go to vote, that their vote is being counted properly and being handled the right way, and that this is an opportunity to reassure people locally, as well as being an example to others, other cities, that we have staffs who are highly trained, who are dedicated, and even as Council President said, a lot of the people that come and just work at the elections, because they feel it's like a civic duty, they're very proud to work on our elections and work with our election staffs. And so this is a case where, you know, Dearborn can be an example where we can help inform people about how well the process is managed when people go to vote. And that's what the mindset that I came with. And as a voter, before I ever was elected here in Dearborn, I always felt that my voice was being heard when I go to vote. And I hope that everybody has that experience here in Dearborn, but that we can be an example to others, that it's your voice is being heard. When you take the responsibility seriously and go to vote, that you are having an impact on what's happening on your own community, as well as on your state and your country. So thanks again for being here this evening.
Dennis?
Hi, Dennis Duggan, Morley Manor, apartment 1101. I retired in 2020, and I didn't trust things. I didn't trust Dearborn. I didn't trust the election. I didn't trust my neighbors because they kept saying things that were the wrong way. It's not the negative trust. It's just that people just kept putting out bad information. That's what I didn't trust. And so I got involved. Something you might think about. I tried to volunteer for this city, but there's no way they let you in. So I ended up hiring as a teenager in the election department. So that's where I'm at. But I will say, I'm sitting here. There are two tracks that you guys didn't get today. I'm sitting back there and saying, I've got enough experience now that still you didn't get the 2 tracks between the AV line of things and the precinct line of things. George, you should let them come in and use the QVF. You know, the computer just says, illogical, you can't do that. It is so hard to make a mistake because of the checks and balances that I just want to say. I live in Morley Manor. We put a box out, a ballot box out there. My neighbors are saying that now we can see the stuffing of the ballot boxes. You know, that's going on. So they see that. So there's still much more to learn. I have much more to learn. But let me say that not everything was clear. And Bob, I went down with Tracy a number of times with single ballot that were rerun. It's a typical thing. It happens, not the whole big bag, but typical, it goes down there. And George, it was my 2 fingers that didn't seal that bag. And they couldn't count it. My 2 fingers. It's your fault. So.
Thank you, Dennis.
Okay.
Anyone else here to address the council? No. Sorry.
No problem. I can't give you an address because I do not live in the city of Dearborn.
That's fine, just the name and your position.
John Garrick, I am the deputy assessor. So, but I'm not here as the deputy assessor, I'm here as a chair of Hague. So I was the main chair of Hague. I didn't see you, Councilman Abraham, did I? Did I see you? Was I that busy? Okay. All right, I'll claim insanity.
Don't question whether I voted or not. Please, I voted for myself. I'll tell you right now.
Busy. We were so busy. I will say, it was a really busy day. We talked throughout the day.
Yeah, I was there.
I only know of one person that we turned away that said he would come back later that night. I don't know if you were there at the time, the 2 people that during the power outage, there was 3 total. 1 said they would come back later, and the 2, as soon as we got the power cord, we ran out the door and caught them talking to the mayor and said, please come back in. And told the mayor, we are good to go, we're back on. Only 1 person they said they'd come back later. If anybody said differently, I don't know what to say about it.
Right, no, that was, you're talking about the power outage.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, we
The
had.
one that I had mentioned earlier was a lady that had came through
Yeah.
and seen the line and then left and went home and came back right before that 8 o'clock
I mean,
deadline.
there, just a couple things, I mean, only because I was there all day, I worked my butt off,
Yeah.
our team worked their butt off. Two of us didn't do dinner, I didn't do lunch. Every AV-ish, you know, where they brought in a ballot, we tried to pull them off to the side. We had a lot of angry people come up to the front and say, I waited in line for 20 minutes, and you're gonna tell me I can't vote? I said, this isn't your precinct. I pulled them up, they were at Bryant, or, I don't, you know.
I appreciate that, Councilman Avery.
Yeah, please.
I appreciate the comments, and I guess for me, we're talking about hay.
For sure.
And I think we've already addressed there's some staffing issues.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair to ask somebody to work all day and not have an opportunity to eat their meal.
Well,
I think that's
I
a
do
symptom
that,
of the
though.
problem. It really is.
Yeah.
It's a symptom of the problem that if the lines are so long and we're so busy, and you can't take a break to eat your meal.
Between 5:30 and 7:30, we were swamped.
I get it.
The
And
rest
it's
of the
gonna be
day
that
was-
way, I can
was,
tell you, it's
you
gonna
know,
be that
wasn't
way
bad.
at Hague for the next long time.
Yeah.
That's when people come home from work and vote.
Yeah.
And I think we've already exhausted that conversation.
Yeah, I know.
We need more people, I'll call it onboarding, to get through the line so people can get their ballot and go
Mhm.
vote and then put it in the tabulator. I think we've made that clear.
Yeah,
And
it
I
wasn't
think,
at the tabulator, though, I do know
I
that.
know, the problem was never at the tabulator,
If we
it was
had
getting people their
two-
ballot.
Not at the, you know, not at the station where you fill it out, I had 6 people in a row. Then, I mean, 6 people could fill out.
I'm just telling you, get it
I know.
somewhere in that line, people
Yeah.
were waiting to get their ballot. You
Yeah.
can address it with the election team and
Right.
why, but
And
they were waiting, and to the lady
I
that
know.
spoke earlier, it's not that there were lines. I think all of us love the
Yeah.
fact that voters are turning out and they're waiting in line to vote. It's the avoidable circumstances that we're trying to address. There are things that we can do to do better.
Yeah.
Improve, so
Most
that
people
there's
would.
not unnecessary waiting. Waiting in itself is not bad.
No.
Unnecessary waiting for
Right.
all of these issues that we addressed tonight
Mhm.
are what we're trying to do collectively so that the next time around,
Mhm.
the things we can avoid, we do.
Oh, definitely. I'm just saying, like,
I don't want you to miss dinner.
everything that we do as chairs and the people that work with us, which, you know, for the most part, I've had good, I've had bad, I've done this for years. And we have so much instruction. I mean, the classes that these guys put on for us, they are clear cut. I don't know how much more instruction I can get. And yes, I'm one of the people that forgot my card last year.
Don't do
I
that.
got yelled at.
Yeah. So you're the chair at Hague?
I'm at Hague, yes.
You're the chair?
I'm the chair.
But you don't live in Dearborn?
No, I live in Melvindale and I never voted. I voted in Melvindale. I vote AV every year because I work here. I work the elections here.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
No, we
So-
appreciate it, I've seen you there all day, no, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
So
not
I'm
about,
just-
this is not about, this is about processes.
I know.
And procedures, some people don't like that, but there's nobody that's gonna convince me
I'm
that
just saying
we couldn't do.
that every year, the processes with the clerk's office gets better. Just looking from, not looking from an employee standby, but being a chair. Okay, every year the process gets easier for us chairs. And and as far as people calling off, last election, 3 people didn't show up, just didn't show up. And they were mine. So I only had, thank God, that there was another chair, I was at McDonald. So there was another chair, so we shared our employees, but, when they don't show up, they don't show up.
Yeah.
What am I?
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Right, anyone else here like to address the council?
Good evening, and thank you. I'm here on a positive note. I'm
Just-
Janet Hazimi, 21800 Morley. So this is the second, first of all, thank you to all the poll workers. Believe me, they have their hands full, and I know you know that. This is my second year working the receiving board, and I personally work with Bianca. I can't tell you how detail-oriented she is. Now, during training alone, I mean, everything. You dot your I's, cross your T's. She's there for every answer. She had every answer to everything you needed. The evening of November 4th, also, she was all over the place, and everybody was grabbing her. But she's good at what she does. The whole team is excellent. We're Dearborn. We strive for perfection. We are constantly trying to make things better, and we should, and we've come a long way. Yeah, we're all human. We make mistakes here and there. Sometimes we overlook something, but we learn from our mistakes at the same time. I just want to say we have a great team, and I really appreciated working with them. I learned a lot, though, tonight, too. But that's all I have to say is they're good people.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
All right, anyone last here to speak? Okay, just two more. Sure, just let this lady, and then you'll be next, and then we're gonna call it, and I have to go ahead and.
Hi, my name is Teresa Smith, and I'm George's sister, so some of you know me, okay? They do a great team, and I'm going to be prejudiced because he's my brother, and he's a great guy and everything. But I've been voting since I've been 18 years old, okay, in Dearborn. And we all have a little bit of a line. But if you look on the news and you see Detroit and other cities, there's lines out the street and out the door. And you're talking about just 7 or 12 people ahead of you and waiting for a few minutes. We wait in line for everything these days. We wait in line at the grocery store. We wait in line to get the car washed. We wait in line everywhere. I think some of the problem is some of the people don't know where their precinct is. They have to be educated. Where do I vote? How do we get that across to people? If everybody wants people to vote for their candidate and everything, then talk to those people and say, do you know where your precinct is? Do you know what the hours are? Things like that. I mean, we can go on, and it's been a late evening already, but I want to thank all you guys for listening, and George is a good guy, and keep up the good work, George.
Thank you. I didn't tell him to come on.
The only way I knew about this, I saw it on Facebook. He wouldn't even tell me this.
I think he paid her.
Good evening. My name is Steve Boyle. I'm from Enfield Lane in Dearborn. I was precinct chair at Precinct 10, Serene Manor. I've worked 4 elections, the 3 last year and this one this year, and I can honestly say I can see the walk, the improvements, the checklist. Bianca talked about the checklist, the visual pictures. Here's the bag, these are the items that go in it. The card goes in the bag. But I will also tell you, so I've done 4, and I haven't been perfect on every one, on any of them. There's a lot of I's to dot and a lot of T's to cross. It's an amazing process, especially at the end of the night. It's incredible. So I see the improvements. It's frustrating at the end of the night. It's tough. People are trying to get out. You want to get out. You've been there for 15 hours. I worked in corporate America for 35 years. Not getting a lunch, not getting a dinner, not a big deal to me. So I plowed through the day. But yes, so the improvements have been there, and they are working their way through the system. A lot of I's dot, T's to cross, like I said, cards get missed. But I really think one thing that was said tonight I think is really unfair, and it kind of demeans the process and maybe the people in it. And someone said, this is not rocket science. And that's wrong. This is a hard, very detailed process, incredibly hard. You come in there at 6 a.m., there's binders, there's checklists, you're doing your best. So I think it was totally unfair for someone to say that this is not rocket science. It's hard. And if you have not worked the 15-hour days, if you have not closed out a precinct, I don't think you can say that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, I appreciate your comments. I was the one that did say that, and I will just follow up with saying that the process is the same in every city, and every election, and every dot and I has to be crossed everywhere. The bottom line is, we can't get the results and have them later and later and later. As indicated, we've had in the past where election results are delivered at 10, 11 p.m. at night, not 3, 4 in the morning. So I understand what you're indicating, but there's more to this. There's a lot more to it. That's why we had to lay it out and ask these questions. And no, I take your comments and I appreciate them, but I can tell you that no, I don't accept the fact that it takes to 4:30 or 4:45 in the morning. It's the same election requirements in the state of Michigan in all the precincts, sir. So we do need to do a little bit better, and and it has to be done in a fashion that people can go ahead and point to the fact that they feel that things are done adequately and that there's no issues of chain of custody, ballots reprinting, and so on and so forth. This is not a one-off
No,
situation.
don't be fair. I just think it was an unfair comment.
No, I understand. I understand that, but
Continuous improvement to Bob, Councilman Abraham.
Thanks. Okay, thank you. All right, at this time, this is my final.
I have a question.
Okay, Councilman Herrick?
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Mr. Boylo, for coming in and speaking. This meeting has been a great exercise in talking about transparency in the election process, accountability, and especially opportunities for process improvement. And I think the staff themselves even talked about always looking for those opportunities. I just had a question. As we're talking about these long hours that the election staff works, do you bring anybody in fresh in the evening for some of these closing responsibilities?
We haven't up to this point, we just use one shift. We don't do split shifts.
Well, maybe that would help, you know, the double checking process and things with people who aren't exhausted and miss dinner. But thank you.
Okay.
All right. All right, at this time, I'd like to, Mr. Clerk, you have the resolution in front of you. If you could just read the open caption, I'm going to offer it, and we need the support.
You'd like me to read the whole resolution?
You don't know, just first read the caption, just the first part, if you don't mind, the first paragraph.
Whereas on November 13th and 14th?
Yes, so that we can, and I'll offer it, and then we need to get a support.
I hear you.
There's no sense for you to read it all if we don't have support.
Okay, very good. So this is a resolution, whereas on November 13th and 14th of 2025, the city of Dearborn was placed on the Wayne County Board of Canvassers agenda for discussion regarding the retabulation for the city of Dearborn, for the reason that certain absentee ballots that were counted on election night were incorrectly placed in a retention bag instead of a certified ballot bag, creating a chain of custody issue.
Okay, and then we have offered by myself, supported by Councilman Enos. Okay, so now, Mr. Clerk, you can read the whereas and the resolve clause, and then we'll call for a roll call vote.
Resolved pursuant to City Charter, Section 10.401, the City Council hereby directs the City Council to immediately notify the administration and Department of Law of any and all election-related matters under the review or jurisdiction of Wayne County Board of Canvassers, the Secretary of State, and the Board of Canvassers, and the State Board of Canvassers. Be it further resolved that this notice required placed on the city clerk shall be applicable to all election matters occurring after the date of this resolution. Be it further resolved that this resolution be given immediate effect.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Just one misspeaking is that it's 10.4, the city council hereby directs the city clerk. You said the city council.
I didn't say that?
You said the city council, it's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's not a problem, I just want to make sure it's in the record.
All right.
All right, so we have an offer by myself, supported by Councilman Enos, and I'm calling for a roll call.
Councilmember Enos?
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Paris?
Yes.
Councilmember Herrick?
Yes.
Council President Sereni?
Yes.
5 yeas, the resolution passes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Okay, at this time, we need a motion to adjourn the meeting. Motion adjourned by Councilman Herrick.
Another item?
Oh, which one was that? Which one was that? So, Mr. Clerk, we have, I don't know if you have it in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good, go ahead and read it. This is regarding an appointee, that the council has appointed, a reappointment, and the person is out of town for the swearing-in timeframe.
So this is a resolution to extend the time period pursuant to section 6.9.
Offer.
Offered by Councilman Abraham, supported by Councilwoman Herrick. Any questions or comments on this? Any objections to unanimous roll? Unanimous roll shall be attached. Is there another item, Mr. Clerk?
Just to consider any such items of business that might be brought up at this time.
No, I don't believe there's any other items. Okay, at this point, we will take a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn by Councilman Harris. We are adjourned. Thank you.
I've learned a lot tonight.